Three mere mortals discover their ability to create entire universes with their minds alone. Upon discovering their abilities, these three, gods if you will, join forces to create the Dark and Stormy Nights, a supercharged team of creatives with the aim of helping artists and writers around the world while combating the forces of boredom and mundanity. They are the Dark and Stormy Nights.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to the Dark and Stormy Nights. We have an amazing plotting episode for you today. This is Loki.
This is Tyr.
And we are without Odin once again, which we know he's only going to come out once in a while from here on out, but we'd like a few more of you to join us. And I'm working out the details of that. I've spoken to a couple of you about coming on the show, and we'll make that work. But today we are plotting Chapter 4. Mm-hmm. So in our last episode, do you want to give us a little recap?
So last episode was a reading of Chapter 3, which basically started off with Nigel pushing him towards the job, and then pointing out that Eliot is on his hands, and then also his friend Gary notifying him that those wolves were out looking for him and his partner.
Yes.
A.k.a. Eliot. So we had Lee run off to pick up Eliot before something bad happened, and kind of forced him onto the job scene with him, just so he could watch his back until the kid got the hang of it on his own. And then at the crime scene, we kind of took in the different aspects. We had Lee's interaction with several different bounty hunters, and how he kind of doesn't have the same fancy equipment that they have, but he managed to get the information out of them anyway. He picked up the clues, he bounced ideas off of them and got why those ideas wouldn't work based on their readings and things like that, and their spells. And then in the end, he ended up collecting a little bit of evidence and then taking off in a stolen car.
Yes, he stole
Rick's car.
Rick's a dick.
Celica, I think it was. Yeah, and so it was. I think that's basically where we ended off. I think Eliot called him crazy, and he was like, "Yeah, it comes with the job."
Right. So, okay. So today we have to meet for Chapter 4. I should say we have to meet a couple of points. Right. We have to move the plot along. Mm-hmm. We need to maybe discover.
Yeah, we have to get a little bit more information revealed here. You know, probably not like the big bad enemy yet, but we definitely have to start revealing bits and pieces of what they're up against.
Right. So he has to maybe at least discover the children, if not the Bodek itself.
Yeah. I don't know about the Bodek. Do you think it's too early for the Bodek?
Well,
I don't know.
I don't know. I think at the very least he has to unravel what's going on. Mm-hmm. You know.
He has to know that the children had to have had some aid to be called forth, maybe.
And even then, though, once he unravels that the connection between the children and the sorcerer they killed and their next target, possibly, he hasn't even unraveled the whole thing. All he knows is that for some reason revenge is being sought after these specific sorcerers for this specific crime.
Right.
He doesn't even know where this whole thing's going.
Right, exactly.
So
we were talking about definitely he needs to, and in the last chapter he mentioned that he was collecting evidence, and Eliot asked him what for, and he said, well, I know a guy. So we need to get Lee to his informants at this point to start collecting additional information on this case.
So is this where he goes to the black market?
It could be. I mean, this is completely up to you now. Are these like hole-in-the-wall people? Are they underground? Are they market people?
Maybe this is where we introduce the black market he has to go to later. Because I like that. I've never been a fan of, in a lot of stories, they have the supernatural aid time, right? Mm-hmm. And supernatural aid, you've never met this person before sometimes. You have no idea why they would help your character or anything. We just introduced this, you know? And all of a sudden you can get holy hand grenades and shit like that. And I'm like, I don't like that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You know, I like the idea that we knew this was here. You know, so later
you're saying you want to introduce it early. So
introduce it, but it's not supernatural aid yet. He has to shake down a few people or something like that.
So
maybe later,
he has to blackmail and kind of weasel the things out of him.
Well, I'm thinking maybe a few of these people have debts to him or something like that, or he knows shit. And then so when he comes back later for the supernatural aid, he'd be like, yeah, so about canceling that debt, or
also
about burning that blackmail, you know?
Right. But also you could do it the same way you did it with Gary, where it was kind of like look, I'll keep this on the down low as long as you help me out too, you know?
Right.
That kind of thing. And that works perfectly well for this situation as well. Like,
Sure.
oh,
Well-
I see you're still selling this, you know, that's not technically allowed, you know, in their black market stall or whatever it is, you know?
Yeah. Well, there might be a diverse, like he might have diverse levels of dirt on everybody,
Sure.
or some of them he might just have a perfectly good relationship with.
Some of them, it might have been, hey, there's a small bounty on your head. I'll just take cash and let you go, you know?
Right.
That kind of thing. So they could see that as a debt. So,
Right. Well, you know, it's the informant thing, right? We know the informant is doing wrong, and we look the other way so we can get information.
right.
And I think that's what Lee has been best at. The reason Lee is good is because he's
He-
morally ambiguous.
Right. He knows when to finish the job and he knows when to let some of them
Right.
go.
These guys are doing stuff that isn't necessarily detrimental to humans, so why do I care so much, you know? And we'll hold on to them for when I need something.
Right. So he definitely has enough leeway there to get what he needs when he needs to get it.
Right. So yeah, maybe that's where we go. So is that where he's headed right from? He grabs the Celica, and they take out Elliot's like, where the hell are we going? And he goes, I told you. I know a guy.
I think that's a fine place to start.
And so, yeah, he goes there, gets some answers. Down there, we were saying that the genie in a fortune teller machine it may be there, and he can get some info.
how's he pay the fortune teller?
I think everybody has to pay in like a gold dollar or something like that, you know.
So he has to have a special coin or something?
Yeah, something like that. Or yeah,
Okay.
maybe he has to bargain to get the coin. I don't want to make it too hard on myself, but
Oh, that's not a bad idea. Yeah.
you know, you don't just get the coin. You owe somebody a favor.
Okay, so here's the question. What information is he getting from his informants and what is he getting from the fortune teller? Or do you want to keep that secret?
I don't know. It's curious to.
And this is going to be before he has a run-in with the kids. So maybe he doesn't get the information about the children at this point, but he can hit up another...
I'm wondering if the fortune teller doesn't know what the ash is. You know, maybe it's the fortune teller, you know, oh, put that into my little hatch on the side here, you know, and I can tell you what the ash is or whatever. I don't know.
Okay.
Or maybe it just connects the dots for him, you know. You're looking for children. I don't know.
Or he can go to one of his informants before he hits the genie box and have them take a look at the ash, and they start talking about, you know, old blood magic and whatnot, whatever it was you called it.
Yeah.
And then I don't know, can they figure out like an age at that point? Or maybe he can use a spell to determine, you know, when it's from or something like that. Because really, when you
The
have
genie?
no,
Oh,
like one
that
of his
guy.
informants,
Oh,
like
maybe.
somebody who specializes in spells and
I
magic.
mean, that's the thing. It's a black market of fake
and
creatures.
finding magic. Yeah. Oh yeah. The options are limitless.
Right.
So truly, like he can take the ash to one of his informants, kind of force him to give him some answers, have them analyze the ash, tell him, you know, I'm seeing some really weird shit here. Gets a spell, and he says, okay, this is residue from a plague from like whatever
Right.
year, and then he can take that to the genie. And like, you know,
Maybe
okay,
he goes to
tell
genie.
me about a plague in whatever year it
Right.
was.
Tell me the story of 1918
Yeah.
and this ash right here. And then, yeah, the genie tells him the tale of what really happened, of how the
Right.
the combine
So
set
you
out
could
to
make that
thin the
super
herd.
creepy. Yeah.
Listen to Madame Zola as she spins the tale.
Yeah, exactly. I like that.
Too bad we can't get, like, creepy voices in text.
Right? Well, yeah, I mean, you could put, like, she spoke in her, I don't know, Russian accent or whatever it is.
Raspy, cigarette-laden voice, I don't know. So,
Not really Russian. Romanian?
yeah, it's probably Romanian.
Okay, and so I think that with those answers that he has so far, maybe he leaves one of his informants doing research for him. And then with what he has, he heads out maybe to talk to Nigel. And Nigel has to give him the runaround because he can't reveal why the sorcerers would do something like that.
Yeah, maybe after talking to the fortune teller machine, he's like, that son of a bitch is like,
Well, I don't... Oh, you mean he's, like, mad at Nigel?
yeah, he's mad
Okay,
that
so
Nigel
he goes to Nigel.
isn't telling the whole story.
Right. So he's going to give Nigel probably enough for Nigel to know that the sorcerers need to be watching their asses.
You think they don't know?
I think they don't know yet. No.
Hmm.
Now that, do we let him get to Nigel right away, or do we have him stopped by something with the children?
Hmm.
Talk with Nigel first, or get attacked by children?
Well,
first?
I don't think the talk with Nigel's in my chapter. I think my chapter probably does end
Before that?
with the either with the fortune teller or with a confrontation with the children.
Oh, really? So you don't want to go back to the pizza shop? We can push that out if you want.
Well, maybe. I don't know.
Because that's the Eliot being forced to answer the call.
Yeah.
But, I mean, we can push it out if you want.
Well, if we push it to the pizza shop, I don't think they run into the children.
I feel like they have to run into the children at least before they talk to Nigel. But I almost feel like it should happen before.
Before the pizza shop?
I don't know. Maybe, does it make more sense to leave it after?
I mean, what if he tries to leave the black market and the children raid?
Okay.
I mean, I'm not sure how all of it would work. It's not. I mean, because the goal of this chapter is to reveal at least where the children come from, right?
Where they come from? I mean, I think that it's good to reveal
I mean,
the plague.
we initially wanted to at least.
We can reveal how they died. I wouldn't.
Yeah, we
go too
initially
far
wanted
with
to at least burn Eliot's bridges, but
Right. So we're saying the fortune teller is going to tell the story behind the changelings.
yeah.
Okay. And then, so I think that really the main thing that we need to decide is that enough for your chapter, or do we need to have the changelings attack before they head back to the pizza shop? Because really, you're hitting the pizza shop is going to be like him.
I don't. Do you feel
5
like the
seconds.
Bodek is ready to single out Lee as the front
It's
runner
not
here?
necessarily Bodek, but it is that they ran into Raina in the last chapter.
Right, but Raina is purposely running into everybody. She's trying to figure out who's going to figure this out first. You know, because she's trying to derail.
Okay, so you think hold off on the children until further down the line?
Maybe let's burn the pizza shop down. Let's do that. Let's end with the pizza shop getting burned down, and we'll have to cross a threshold in maybe the next chapter. So in the next chapter, maybe he goes from...
So when they run into the children, they're going to know what they are.
I think at that point, yeah, they know that they're at least... not that they're necessarily controlled by the Bodek, but that they're the risen children of the engineered plague of
So I think then
1918.
Eliot's really going to have a problem harming children that were wronged in such a way.
Right.
So he's going to have some serious...
Unless they somehow figure out that they're just shells, that they're not... Like,
right, but they would have to figure that out beforehand. I kind of like the conflict with Eliot where he's like, I can't do anything. They're innocent, they were killed. So...
It's kill or be killed, kid.
Right,
I don't know.
right. Yeah, Lee's got no problem with it.
Yep. Smacks the head off of one with a shovel. So...
All right.
Use that shovel. It's a spade.
Oh, good Lord.
He is agriculture major. I'm just saying he might use the proper term for the tool.
He might, I suppose. Okay. All right. So do we want to hash out some more details about what's going on in this chapter? Or do you want to take a break and come back to it?
Yeah, let's take a break. We'll come back and we'll finish plotting this chapter. So let's lay out the chronology after we come back.
Sounds good.
All right. See you in a minute.
Meow. Meow.
In a topsy-turvy world, it's nice to have something that makes sense.
Meow.
This isn't it, but we hope you enjoy it anyways.
Meow.
Okay, we are back. So we're going to kind of put this all together. So we start out, we've left the crime scene in Rick's car, in his Celica.
Right.
Right? Eliot's like, what are we doing? Where are we going? And he's like, I told you, I know a guy.
Right. I thought maybe if you want to add just a little glimpse of the changelings in at this point, like not enough to connect the dots just yet, but maybe Eliot could just be like looking out his window as they're driving, and he sees like a kid in like one of the alleys they pass, or like by a building or something.
Maybe it's not that far from the mansion they were just at. Like literally the kids.
Oh,
like
that's not a bad idea.
Like
I was thinking close to the market, but yeah, that's not a bad idea. And then like maybe like the light overhead flickers or something, and then he sees just a glimpse of something wrong with the kid's face. Maybe he just like rubs his eyes, looks back, the light's fine, and there's nothing wrong with the kid, but he's just staring him down or something.
Right.
So like something that is like slightly creepy and off, but not enough to like make him question it, you know?
Sure. So they get to the market, which we said is in the basement of a wallpaper outlet, right?
Sure.
So you
or like the back room or whatever.
Yeah. There's an actual wallpaper outlet, and nobody buys wallpaper anymore.
Right.
So not at a wallpaper outlet.
Right.
You know, like you want fancy wallpaper, you go online.
Mm-hmm.
But so there's this wallpaper outlet. Most of the rolls of wallpaper are yellowed and stuff like that because
Right.
it's just been sitting there forever.
From like 1980.
Right, back when you could smoke in your shop.
Right.
And they just walk past the counter, take a freight elevator or whatever it is down to the market.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Is there a password to get past the like wallpaper clerk?
maybe might not be a bad idea.
Mm-hmm.
And you get down there, and there's all types of fey creatures with their, it's like a bazaar,
Right.
And maybe this was the black market bazaar or something like that. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And then, but I think I feel like it's much more expansive than this place is. It's much bigger than the wallpaper
Oh yeah.
stores. It goes under most of the city or something
Right,
like that,
right.
right? There might even be parts of the market where it's not market, but there's like homeless fae.
Oh, I was
going to
say maybe some residential areas for things that can't blend in
Oh
above
yeah.
ground.
Oh yeah, there might be some like really weird fucking shit. And it's
Right.
just like
Oh, and you guys were talking about doing that cat person. What was it called?
what is it, Rashiki or Rafiki?
Hold on, I have.
It's like a demon.
Yeah, but it looks like the thing from Skyrim. Is it?
Oh yeah, they look like Khajiit.
It's a Rakash.
Rakshasa, that's what it is. Yeah, they're like a Indian demon. They're tiger-like, but their hands are backwards. So the thumbs are on the wrong side.
Interesting.
Which, that alone is what's weird to me. Tiger demon, not such a big deal. Thumbs on wrong, strange. Okay, so we want to put the Rakshasa. Do we want to put the Rakshasa in this scene?
I mean, you could just have them.
Did we say what he was doing?
No, we didn't. We just mentioned bringing him in so that as Eliot walks by, he's like, "Oh my God, I know you from
Yeah.
like Skyrim."
Like he points at him. Khajiit has wares. You're a racist.
Something like that. So yeah, I wouldn't even make him one of the informants or anything.
And I think he has like a normal voice too. Like in Skyrim, they're all like, Khajiit has wares.
Right.
And he goes, my
Give him
name,
a
my
New
name's
York-
Bill. I've got kids. You're a dick.
Give him a New York accent or something.
I'm walking here.
So yeah, like maybe something like that, just to like have it in passing by.
So all right. So we've got 3 informants and the genie, right? So we're gonna do, I think, one. It's friendly. There's one friendly encounter, one informant-like encounter or whatever, right? And one blackmailer shakedown, right?
Sure.
So not necessarily in that order. But what information do we want to impart with each? And I feel like the friendly encounter, of course, is going to have the most reliable information.
Okay. So who's the friendly encounter? And you're not counting the fortune tellers?
No, fortune teller is a separate encounter.
Okay.
This fortune teller, I want to put the story together. So maybe we get a little bit of information from all 3 encounters.
So the first one, he's asking about small fey creatures that will bite or eat human flesh,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe devour magic, because it's possible that they were biting to devour the sorcerer's magic.
Maybe.
So maybe that's the question he asks one of his informants. Maybe that person specializes in just knowledge of fey.
Maybe.
And then, okay, so wait, one was a friendly encounter, one was a blackmail encounter, and what was the third?
Informant relationship. So he he knows of he looks the other way. It's like Gary, like his relationship with Gary. They help each other out. He doesn't get turned in, or Lee says you're under my protection, so the other hunters won't take him in because he's Lee's guy or something like that. As long as he keeps Lee in the loop, as long as he helps Lee out,
Okay.
Lee covers him.
Okay, so one has Fey knowledge, and he asks about potential species that would be smallish and bite or feed off of humans, right?
Right.
Okay, so, and then one of them he's going to ask about the ash.
Right. He's going to tell him what the ash might be, or
And
what he
then-
sees in the ash.
Okay, and what are we getting from the third?
Maybe the third tells him.
Ooh, what about the symbol? Remember the symbols that were used to bust open the door?
Oh, the
Maybe
magic.
he sketched them down and he could have
Maybe
them.
yeah, it's not bad. Yeah, and between the three of them, we can put together enough information to give the fortune teller, and the fortune teller can weave the tale of 1918.
Sure. Okay, so one, he's potential species, the magic symbol,
It looks like
Which
the one
I don't-
Prince used.
right? I don't even think that he needs to have written it down at the crime scene. Like I mentioned that he stared at it for a moment, so he could just draw it from memory. Like Lee's not dumb, you
No,
know.
no.
Like so he's
Well, he used to be like a detective.
right. Like I think that he's really smart and he's good at what he does. So yeah, like
Yeah, he
those-
just hates his life.
right. Yeah,
So-
exactly. Who doesn't? Okay, so
'Tis the world we live in.
all right. Do you want to flesh out these characters?
Oh, yeah, we can. By the way, it is purely coincidence that we chose a plague before we ended up in a plague.
Yeah.
So one has nothing to do with the other.
Yeah. Okay. So wait, what was the third person that we said?
There was friend, informant, and
Blackmail.
blackmail.
Right. No, we said one specializes. Oh, the other one was investigating the black ash. Okay. So let's create these characters.
So I don't know. Do you think that which do you think is the most important piece of information?
The black ash.
Then I would go with the friend for the black ash.
Okay.
Because somebody you're shaking down might mislead you. Somebody you're protecting or whatever might not put as much care into the information they're giving you.
Okay. So maybe the blackmail informant or whatever is the one that he goes to ask about the magic symbol.
Maybe, yeah. And what are
And
we
he
going
can
to say
give
about
him
that
kind
magic
of-
symbol?
He can give him kind of a vague answer because basically he doesn't want to help him.
What do we want to say about the magic symbol? What does it?
You can, well, it's coming from a Bodak, right? The
Right.
Bodak was the one who essentially did that magic
Right,
to
so
break.
maybe it's abyssal magic.
So here's the problem, is that magic that was used to break through the sorcerer's barrier wards had to be really fucking strong.
Right.
More than, your average magic user could do. So between the Bodak and the Fae, I don't know. I think that magic symbol needs to be maybe old or there has to be something to the magic user that wields it.
Okay, so let's rewind a little bit then. Do we want this maybe to be the clue that something is controlling those fae?
I think that you can. Okay, so if this is coming from your blackmail informant, they can maybe. I wouldn't lay that out there. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
Like,
what I'm saying is that maybe it would throw off the connection. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I don't know, this isn't...
it's not Fae.
It's not fae. I don't know why.
What is a Bodak? Is it maybe demonic?
Yeah, it's
Maybe it's
well,
a
it's an
demonic
undead or a
symbol.
demon. So,
Okay. So
But
yeah, I mean, it can
that's what I'm
throw them
saying.
off a little.
yeah, abyssal magic or hell magic or whatever you want to call it. I don't know.
Underworld magic. Okay.
Well, these
Or
are...
demonic,
It's
yeah.
You know what it probably is? It's probably ancient unseelie magic.
For the Bodak?
Yeah, maybe.
Okay, so we're gonna say this throws off the investigation a little.
And that
So maybe
informant
the
doesn't care
black-
that it does.
Right. Maybe the black ash should be the last thing he finds out about. And then he goes right to the fortune teller.
Right.
Okay, so maybe we do the blackmail encounter first. What about the informant relationship?
I think it's similar to Gary.
This one is going to be the one who knows the Fey knowledge. Could list some potential creatures.
Right.
Potential Fey creatures that it could have been. That could take down a sorcerer. Do you want to do this one before the magic symbol question? Because he could go to this person, the person with the informant relationship, and say, okay, here's what I've got going on. You know, small bite marks. We don't know if they were siphoning magic or if they were literally trying to eat this thing alive. Iron allergy, blah, 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 blah. What are some potential Fey creatures that could have done this, that could take down a sorcerer?
Here's what I'm
This
thinking.
thing goes through some creatures.
I think the blackmail might be first. Maybe we go in reverse order. Blackmail, informant, friend.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Because I was just going to say, like, if he goes to the informant, he gets the potential Fey creatures, then goes to the next guy with the symbol, and he's like, that's not Fey.
Right.
You know? So
But
it, like,
that's-
kind of undoes what he already learned.
Yeah, and then maybe if he goes to the friend last, it kind of reels him back into.
Right.
Maybe
Into
it
Fey.
is, but
Right.
but what the fuck,
Right.
you know?
Right.
So, I think somewhere along.
Right. So maybe the friendly person, like, is examining the black ash. They see the spell. You know, they do a spell or two of their own to try to divine, like, what this is. And maybe they can see that it looks like it was almost created to target Fae,
Right.
which pulls it back into the Fae thing.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know.
And then it once the fortune teller spins the tale of 1918, explaining how this plague was created to wipe out the changelings,
Right.
to kill Fey anchor babies, basically.
Oh, Lord.
So.
Okay, so we maybe start with the informant who lists the potential Fey creatures that could take down the sorcerer. Then we go to the blackmail character who says, you know, who throws him off a little bit with the symbol and says, you know, it's not really Fey. Then we go back to the friend who examines the black ash, and they maybe use a spell to determine that it has remnants of a magical plague. Looks like an old magical plague, right?
Old, yeah. Old magic. Old blood magic.
Okay, and so from there, he goes to the fortune teller
Right. And the fortune teller weaves the tale.
of what actually happened.
Right.
Unbiased tale.
Right.
Okay, so do you want to hash out these characters now, or do you want to just wing it?
I think we're okay. I think the only other question before we end it all is, do we then from here go back to Eliot's place? Is that a whole different story, or is that part of
Not
this?
necessarily. I mean, truly, you can go through all this. Eliot's maybe intrigued, I think, by this underground, by these characters, by, you know, by these things that he's seen in video games just walking around, you know? Like, he's maybe interested, he's intrigued, and this is starting to draw him in, but he doesn't really want to give up his life. It's still dangerous.
Maybe it's, all right, let's go back to my place and grab my laptop. I got some ideas.
Well, not just that, but, like, maybe, like, I need to think on this. I don't know that I want to be involved in this, you know? And then when he goes back and finds that his whole life is destroyed, that's what answers the call for him. I have nothing else now, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I definitely think that while they're going through this, maybe Eliot starts to show some interest in this world that he
Right.
didn't have before. He was
So-
very reluctant up to this point. He was resistant. But now he's kind of seeing, hey, this is kind of cool, you know?
So do we, though, have him go back to an already destroyed place,
Or do we destroy
have
it
them
as
walk
soon as
into
they
an
show
ambush? Yeah.
up? I think that's up to you. However you want to do it. You could make this like a very simple scene.
We could have Gary save them. Like Elliot and Lee are about to walk in, and Gary snatches them and be like, "It's a trap. Let's get the fuck out of here." You know.
You could. Does he have that kind of relationship with Gary?
No. I'm saying that maybe Gary is manipulating the situation.
Gary thinks he'll get something out of it.
Yeah.
So you could. Essentially, you could either make this,
Which would mean Gary would be very like, "I did good, right, Lee? I did good."
right?
You know.
So it could be either a really fast thing where he shows up and everything's already destroyed, and he's like, "I guess I'm with you," you know, or it could be like he's walking out. He pulls him like right up onto the sidewalk next to the door or whatever to drop him off because Lee's a dick and he does shit like that. And he's like, "All right, kid, you know, I'll pick you up in the morning or whatever." Like he does a loop around to make sure there's no wolves.
Mm-hmm.
Goes to drop him off right at the front door. Kid gets out, goes to pull the door open, and Lee hears or smells the spell or hears a click or whatever it is, jumps out, grabs him. Maybe
Right.
it's a convertible Celica and he can just jump right over the door. Who knows?
A convertible Celica.
And then he can like yank him out of the way and you know, whatever. The whole place goes up and Elliot's in shock and just, "It's all right, kid. You can sleep on my couch."
All right, so that part of the scene's gonna be really brief, right?
Yeah, it can be super. Like he doesn't need to deal with it at all. It's just kind of, "I guess I'm with you now."
Right.
You know?
Okay, I can work with that.
Yeah.
All right. Do we have anything else?
I mean, I don't think so, unless you have any questions about what you're doing with this chapter.
No, I'll work with the best I got, and we'll make it happen.
Sounds good.
So, all right, don't forget to check us out at the Dark Stormy K1 on Twitter. We're also on YouTube, Podbean, Spotify, Google Play, iTunes,
All
whole
of
bunch
it,
places.
yeah.
Yeah, you can find us almost anywhere. Come join the story. Comment, like, follow, subscribe, tell a friend, tell your mom. Join in the action. Tell us where you think this should all go. Give us ideas. We got a few contributors like JW Panovic on Twitter. He's given us a few. In fact, we're going to discuss one of his maybe on the next show or two. He just sent me.
Oh, awesome.
So, or maybe if I can get the call-in function working, we'll have him on the show and get him discussing it himself and see where it goes.
Sweet.
So we'll talk to you next time. Bye.